Hi,
There
sir.
we go.
You good?
Good.
What's happening?
Not much. Same thing every day.
Trying to survive, trying to stay busy.
Just saying, I'm enjoying this. So,
Just the time off.
yeah, time off. Time to do a whole lot of other stuff, which you don't find time to do. So it's good.
Fantastic. What is that stuff you don't find time to do that you're busy with in
I
this
get
amazing lockdown?
get time to spend time with my wife. Get time to study stuff that's not in my industry. I get to study my industry a little bit more. Get to do things that you enjoy. Started an online course, making food, a little bit of gardening, like stuff that you think is irrelevant once you get put in the whole cycle of life, bro.
Sure, 100%. I think it's a nice time to stop and reflect and look at all the stuff that you haven't been doing for a while, especially a guy like yourself who's permanently busy, permanently looking after hundreds of fighters and stuff like that. So it's nice to just sit back and do the things you want to do a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of positive stuff you can take out of a negative situation. So end of the day, the situation's bigger than all of us, so we just got to make the best of it.
100%. And what are your general feelings when it comes to this whole Corona stuff? Are you one of these guys? Are you rocking the
That's
tinfoil
so
hat?
great. I think it doesn't even matter what I think when we're pawns in a game. So um, at the end of the day, I just think it's the beginning. I think there's a lot of sad times and hard times coming up for us. I've got family that have been in quarantine and lockdown for over 2 months now,
Whoa.
in first world country, not in a third world country, and definitely not in a third world country that is Africa. And I've been talking to them over the last 2 months of what's been going on, how things are going there. No, we're basically just following in path of the rest of the world. We're the last nation. Um, but like I said, this is Africa, and things here are totally different from anywhere else in the world. So I think we've got a lot of hard times coming our way in next I would say 8 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Not only just the virus, but getting through all of this junk status and reliefs and financial stuff. It's gonna be hell of a
Yeah, I
interesting.
mean the pandemic is the first fight. Second fight is the economical war that's gonna start. People losing jobs, money issues, all of that, and we not in a country that gave us support when there was no pandemic. So why do you expect that the government's going to do the right thing in a pandemic?
Yeah,
It's actually just going to get worse. But you just got to keep positive, support your communities and your tribes, support local, help where you can. Um, some situations you can't help,
sure.
but there's a lot of situations you can. So, once it needs to start now, like it needs to get to that point, like let's go, chaos, suffering. It all needs to just kick off. So, because the quicker it kicks off, the quicker it's going to end that first phase, and then the second phase will start, which a lot of the other countries are dealing with to kick off. Because the quicker it starts, the quicker it finishes, the quicker we can get back to our lives and actually, because right now, there's nothing you can do.
No, 100%. And it's it's quite a funny thing to think there's not a single leaf that's been untouched by this pandemic in terms of there's no business that's going to be unscathed. And
No.
what I really want to talk about is the MMA side. I mean, you guys, you're one of the guys who's right in the middle of it. So you've got a gym where you make a living from, which is completely stopped. You've got
Yeah,
fighters that make a living with you in that gym, that's completely stopped. Some guys have been waiting quite a while, and now they're like, we're getting close to getting fights, and that stopped. So just talk us through how tough that's been, man, dealing with like trying to keep people motivated, like your team motivated,
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone's in the same box. Like, it's the first time. It's quite a special like scene if you think about it. It's the first time the whole world is in one box.
yeah,
And obviously it's not a great situation that we're in, but we have businesses to run. Everything's been on pause. But like I said, if we all kind of support each other in terms of supporting your community and your tribe that you've been involved with um, up to this point, I think everyone can get through it. Gyms are suffering a lot because memberships and stuff like that. But right now we're in the beginning phase, and not much people are losing jobs right now, so
yeah,
they're still getting salaries every month, which means you can still pay your membership. And if that holds out for at least 2 months, then people can get back on their feet. The problem is when the economy starts crashing a little bit and big corporate companies start freaking out and start firing people and your general individual, and then, loss of income and jobs means that everyone's going to suffer. In terms of the fighters, like, hey man, this is a fight game. Um, a lot of without the pandemic, shit like this always happens. You get injured, uh,
constant
or you
pandemic.
tear your ACL, you're out for 6 months to a year, stuff like this. It is what it is. That's the fight game, and the guys that are with me, keeping their mind sharp. I give them two assignments every week that they need to study and write back to me about the assignment. I give them fights of the days every morning to watch and study and break down the fights. I give them, all different types of information to keep their mind active. They're not babies. They know how to keep physically active and fit. A lot of them, a lot of them have got their own equipment at wherever they're staying and doing what they can to keep their body physically fit. And I'm just providing the mental stuff to keep them mentally sharp. And that's all you can do right now. Some of them live with individuals that are training as well. So they've got mats and they can drill and do a few, they're lucky,
Yeah, they just
which is very cool.
they're 50% doing that to stay sharp and 50% to piss the rest of us off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm super jealous of some of them, their partners, or they're staying with roommates and that type of stuff that they can train with and are involved in the industry. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're all in the same box, man, and the whole world is dealing with the same problems, from a pandemic to basically economical pandemic that's going to arise. And I think everyone, hopefully, there's two situations. The situation either tears people further apart or brings them closer together, and everyone has a different case. But yeah, with us, we're just trying to keep the community active. The gym, the athletes, anyone that's around us, and providing as much information as I can from my living room. And yeah, it's also teaching people, I think, and I've said this in a few interviews as well, is that people actually don't know how to study. They don't know how to intake information without kind of being babied.
Yeah,
And I think this situation, especially with my community and my athletes, is teaching them how to actually, and teaching them how to receive information, how to gather information, how to sift through the information, and then organize the information into a category where they can take it in. And that's an actual skill that I don't think a lot of people understand and know how to do unless they're being shown and taught. So this gives them the time to do so.
okay. Yeah, that is a great bit of information about some information. I know it's quite hard, even like for me personally. I'm sitting thinking about, okay, cool. It's a very good opportunity to start working on like some jiu-jitsu mind maps and start
Yeah,
figuring those things out. But then you're like, okay, cool. Where do I start? and
yeah. I mean,
and what is it
the
that I want to
the,
do?
the art of learning is super important, and people don't focus on it enough because the age that we live in, everything is instant. Everything you can ask someone and instantly get something from it. So right now, I think that's one big skill that I'm hoping that a lot of my community are understanding and then adjusting to it and learning every day. And that's going to help them become better martial artists, I think better people in general.
Fantastic. So that's a nice piece of information. What I also wanted to ask you, I think if anyone's listening to this, they can kind of say, okay, cool, let me work on what Richie's saying and really work on studying. What else could you say to people? I know you're a guy who's got quite a stringent routine on a day-to-day basis. Are you kind of sticking to a routine now, or what would your advice be
Yeah,
for people now?
I think routine is king, and especially in the situation that we're in now, routine is definitely even more important because you can get caught up and lost very quickly. So yeah, like a day routine with me is I try to wake up when my body allows me to. I'm not waking up to alarm, which is first time in a long time. But I am a morning person
Cool.
more than an evening person. So as soon as I wake up, I make some tea, some herbal teas, and we drink some tea. We live in a complex, so my wife and myself we go for a nice walk. Try to get the legs moving, get some good sunlight in my eyes to wake up. And then when I get back here, we do a workout, usually a body weight workout with bands and rehab stuff and all of that. And then start the day, and I think the schedule is king. Start a little bit of studying, reading. For me, getting back into playing games, my Asian ways. Um, and then just kind of schedule it out throughout the day. And then in the evening, I do a more of a more hard physical workout with sprints, weights, and that type of stuff. Get to cook all my meals with my wife, which is really nice to connect to the food and with your family. And then, yeah, I'm not going to bed too late. I go to bed at usually the same time that I always do, but also letting my body sleep longer during the morning, so it's a good time of recovery. Getting to do the things that you made excuses of doing. Um, yeah, I'm doing an online course,
Nice.
stretching more. I always complain about, tell people, oh, you should stretch more and more mobility, and I never do it. So I've got time to focus on that. Be out in the garden more, understand a little bit about more about nature and like planting foods and stuff that we neglect because of the rat race.
Sure,
You can really connect.
sure. That's powerful. And I think there's a great message in there. And keep sharp and stay active. Don't just become a sloth on the couch.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do. I think it's just comes down to mindset and attitude if you want to. If
Sure.
you want to sit down and do nothing all day, then you're going to do that. But if you want to be proactive, you're going to be proactive. It doesn't matter what industry you're in or what you need to do. There's ways of doing it right now. I mean, the good positivity out of this situation is like there's new businesses that are popping up, people that realize that they can do things from one location.
Yeah.
I also think corporate companies have realized that they don't need to work their employees to death in an office, that a lot of certain individuals can do that work to the same quality at their house and probably get better quality because they have kind of more time. So I think there's a lot of positives also coming out of this. Everyone just wants to talk about the negativities of the situation. You can talk about negativity of any situation all
Mm.
day, but it's more about the attitude of how you're going to take the situation and make it more positive than negative and get something out of it because you can't run away from this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what I wanted to talk to you about, there's not much MMA to chat about. Obviously, just the consequence of what's happening to MMA. But the only
Yeah.
thing that seems to be kind of carrying on is UFC 249. We wait to hear. It's quite funny hearing all the predictions. Some people are predicting like somewhere in the East, Saudi Arabia. I've heard a cruise ship. We've heard all these kind of things. Firstly, what do you make of the UFC like forcing the continuation of this event?
Well, you see, I don't know if the event's going to happen anymore. I saw this morning that Khabib is back in Dagestan, and
Okay.
he actually mentioned that he might not be able to do it. I don't know. Um, I don't think they understand how big the situation is.
Mm.
People want to say, oh, people need paychecks and this. They're like, we're all in the same damn box. We
Yeah.
all need paychecks. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen, to
Yeah.
be honest with you, because where you going to find a country that's going to allow it? We are one of the countries that are kind of on martial law. The US, they're on quarantine, but there's no forced quarantine. But
Yeah.
it's going to happen now. They're going to lock that. Trump's going to lock that place down with the military. In Europe, they're not really allowing people in and out. Maybe in Dagestan. I don't know. I don't know
That'd be a crazy
if
twist.
it happens. Yeah, but they got to fly out to crew to wherever it is, and also it's got to find the people that are willing to take that risk to work on that
Yeah.
card.
Yeah.
And I know, like Joe Rogan said that he's not willing to do it. So there's a lot of variables to take in. I just think everyone's in the same box. We all just need to ride it out, and fights can always happen.
Yeah.
Life will always go on. I think we need to deal with what's been presented in front of us first.
And just so the next part of that was theoretically. I mean, this fight it has to happen eventually, whether it's now
Yes.
or post the Corona pandemic. I know you're a massive advocate for Khabib, but what do you see in this fight, Khabib versus Ferguson? Where do you see the fight won or lost?
It's it's such a crazy fight. This is a fight that everyone's been talking and debating on, including my community and the guys I'm around.
Yeah.
Like everyone's either Khabib or Tony, and there's so many theories out there. Um, for me, I just think, yeah, I always going to lean a little bit more to Khabib. Um, but hey, man, this is the MMA game. Anything can happen. You can't count out Tony. That guy's a savage. He pulls things off within a blink of an eye. He's also a bit crazy up there, and fighting a crazy guy like that, you never know what's going to happen. Um, yeah, and in times of this as well, like how much training are they doing?
Yeah.
How much resources do they have towards their training camp? It's definitely not the same as it would be.
Well,
How's their
well.
how's their mindsets?
Have you seen the videos of
Um,
Tony Ferguson building up his own camp? So I think if anybody's okay, I reckon it's him. He could have gone into the bush and built
You know what? I,
his
I,
own.
I think I think Tony is crazy. I don't think he's got everything up there, but I think he also puts a lot of that on social media,
Sure.
just like 90% of people on social media
Sure.
put a whole lot of shit on it, present what is not actually presented. But yeah, it's fun. It makes it entertaining.
Yeah.
And I think this is what made this fight. Um, we don't know. There's so many theories that you could say what, when, how. But that's the beauty of the sport, and especially this matchup. Does it go to the ground? Does it stand up? Is it on the fence? Is it on the outside? Like, can someone get knocked out? Someone get cut? Someone get submitted? Oh man, it's just there's so much variables. It's going to be such a great fight when it happens. Yeah.
It almost seems like Corona is just kind of giving us one last push of anticipation to wait for this fight. I mean, we've waited so many times. It's just like, just a little bit longer, guys. Just a little bit longer. And we
Yeah,
can get it
exactly,
soon
man.
enough.
It is teaching us definitely about patience. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I mean, that fight's going to happen. I think just the way
Yeah.
Dana's gone on about trying to make it happen in this crazy time shows you that they'll
Yeah,
definitely
and I
make it
really
happen.
think that like after this time, we're going to see some really motivated individuals in all aspects of life and in obviously our industry. Like I really think you guys are going to see some good fights. People
Yeah.
after this are going to come out recharged, refocused, maybe more hungry, understand their bodies better,
Yeah.
use this time to reconnect to how they want to do things and how their body wants to do things, be it more training, smarter training, more recovery, better eating, better community, better individuals around them, whatever it is. But I think this time is gonna, once it's done and it's passed, I think we're gonna see some great fights being put on.
Yeah, I've been seeing Dana saying that they want to build the most badass card you've ever seen. So I would
Yeah.
suspect that as soon as this is over, that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna get
Yeah,
one of
guys are
those.
hungry, man.
Yeah,
And when guys are hungry, they're gonna come and fight.
yeah, 100%. They were talking about merging Rosenstruck versus Francis Ngannou with the same on the same card as Khabib versus Ferguson. So there's going to be a lot of crazy stuff happening. I hope the EFC follows suit as well and really decks out a card. What I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, Rich, one last thing from my side. What I wanted to ask, I don't know if you saw a card emerged yesterday. It was obviously a card in the works for Aries. There was a long list of South
Yeah.
African fighters. There was,
Yeah.
well, I say South African fighters and former EFC fighters. Was Amanda Lino, Martin van Staden, Dani van Heerden, Devin Crinier, Tabani Ndebela. There was Alain Bedeau who fought your one and done. What do you think about an organization like this, Aries? Do you think they're the competition to the EFC, or it's going to be that kind of organization that's using guys one and done?
Man, I hate talking about this like competition about competition. Like at the end of the day, we need more.
Sure,
We're in
100%.
Africa. We need more. We
Yeah,
more. The more, the better. Um, and guys need to experience their own experiences by making mistakes and making the right decisions of traveling overseas and not traveling overseas and staying here and not staying here. You know what I mean? Like the the new promotion that wants to come in. I think it's great for athletes. We need more athletes.
sure.
We don't have a lot enough athletes. Is it a one-hit wonder? It might be, man. Like, but what does it matter?
Yeah,
Come in, do a show, support the industry, support the fighters, because we need support for the fighters as well. So it's good experience. You get to fight international guys. I just don't see much of a negative aspect. More promotions coming into Africa. I see more positives than negatives. I just hope that everyone can work together and make the right decisions where no one's careers or promotions are getting hurt
yeah.
in the process. And yeah, I just think it's a good thing for us.
Yeah, so I suppose competition is not actually the right way to use it. Is there long term viability for the fighters that are being signed? Because we saw with Brave, a lot of guys getting given like one fight contracts. If you perform, we'll talk about another contract. Some guys only getting used once a year. So I
Yeah,
suppose we're kind of a little bit got our tails up now when guys are getting
I
signed up.
think I think our this happens even at the highest level.
Yeah, 100%, it's true.
We've signed contracts with nearly every big promotion there is in the world, and all the contracts are basically the same. It's more about how you react and your relationship with the promotion and matchmaker that dictates where your career is going to be.
Phew, scary.
It's a relationship at the end of the day, and if you feel like you're going to be used and you can see signs that you're being used, then guess what? You're being used. Uh, you know, also, what power do athletes actually have these days? We
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
We're not the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers are managers, people close to the matchmakers and the promotions. They have the power. The athletes are merely pawns at the end of the day, and I think athletes need to go to the promotions where they feel they are treated well, that they are respected. And in every promotion, you can have the good cases and the bad cases. And I think that just all comes down to the athlete's relationship with the promotion and matchmaker. That will make and break your decision on where you're going to be in the future. So yeah, I mean, and I've seen both sides of the scale. It's happened to us on both sides of the scale, and that's why I can say that.
okay. It is some great advice. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. It can't be personal feelings involved, and I mean, locally we've seen a lot of that lately. Like, there's a lot of personal. I mean, guys are
You
trying to
know
make,
what?
yeah,
It gets personal, because, this is people's livelihoods,
Sure.
and it's not about anymore about being the best fighter.
Yeah.
It's not. It's about making the right decisions
Sure.
and making the smartest decisions for yourself and your family to stay within the business. There's many best fighters out there, and you never hear about them, and they fall off the mat because either the gatekeepers push them off the mat, or they get so fed up and so disheartened with the industry that they themselves decide to turn their back and walk away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you just need to know how to play this game properly.
Yeah, sure. Some great advice, Rich. What do you think? What do you think it says about what's happening here locally? If you look at Brave, and I mean, Aries obviously never happened, but it was en route, and we've seen the kind of card they were building and the kind of South African talent they were building, and I think it's now like painted quite a big picture where we've got athletes, every caliber of athlete, you know, so kind of guys that were hinkering between prelim and main card fighters, like still building up their career, up to guys that are like very seasoned veterans. Some guys, you know, like we're taking all man of heavyweights and this kind of thing. So they've taken like a massive pool of athletes kind of out of the EFC competition pool. What do you think that says about what's happening here locally?
I just think people, in terms of the athletes, they want to touch the other side. They want to feel what it is to be in another promotion. You can't blame them for that. They either need to make the wrong decision or the right decision, and that situation will dependent on them and where they go with it. Like I said, there's many talents out there. They just need to be directed in the right direction. EFC is doing a great job and has done a great job in terms of producing athletes and giving us a platform. But like I said, more platforms, the better. Like more athletes, the better. I mean, if a promotion like EFC had a roster of like 300 athletes, you wouldn't have to take shit from a lot of athletes either. You know, if someone declines or is not getting a good relationship with the matchmaker, you can just bounce that person and go to the next person, because that's what the UFC does.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I think more talent, more athletes, and more promotions do well for the sport, regardless. So yeah, that's kind of my view with that, you know.
100%. Anyways, Rich, thanks so much for your time, man. Stay safe out there.
Cool, buddy.
We'll chat to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Hopefully, we'll be chatting on the mat sooner than later.
For sure. Take care, man.
Ciao,
Cheers.
buddy.